You got me singing like, ooh, I love it when you do it like that. When you're closer, give me the shivers. Oh baby, you wanna dance till the sunlight cracks. When they say the party's over, then we bring it right back. Hi there, welcome back to Bitesize Guitar. Today we're going to be taking a look at Shivers by Ed Sheeran. It's a really simple song that just uses 4 chords throughout to play the entire song. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so if we begin by taking a look at the chords used to play the entire song, as I said before, there's only going to be 4 different chords used throughout the entire track. I'm going to take you through a couple of alternative different ways to play that chord part though, however. On the track, Ed Sheeran is playing power chords throughout, but then just in case you'd like to play this as more of a kind of solo acoustic guitar piece, I'm going to take you through how to expand on those power chords a little bit and play the full chords. So if we take a look at how Ed Sheeran plays the song first, we're going to be starting up here on the 7th fret of the E string with our first finger, and with either your pinky or your 3rd finger, whichever feels more comfortable, you're going to play the 9th fret on the A string, and all of these power chords are only going to be 2 strings that we're playing at any one time. So this is a B power chord at the 7th and 9th frets. We're then going to take this exact same shape and drop it down until we are on the 3rd fret with our first finger and the 5th fret on the A string. That's a G power chord. Again, using this same shape, and now we're going to slide up to the 5th fret and drop down onto the A and D strings. So now we are 5th fret with our first finger on the A string and 7th fret with our pinky on the D string. This is a D power chord. And then we're going to stay in this same position, exactly the same shape, just walk each one of your fingers down a string. So now we're back on the E and the A strings at the 5th and 7th fret still, and this is an A power chord. So again, we have a B power chord at the 7th fret, followed by 3rd fret for a G power chord, 5th fret on the A string for a D, and then 5th fret on the E string for an A. So as I've said, that is the chord part that Ed Sheeran is playing throughout the entire song. B to G to D to A, all as power chords. But should you want to expand on those a little bit, let me just take you through how you could make each one of those chord voicings into a more full chord shape. So starting down here with our B, we're going to be playing a B minor as a bar chord here at the 2nd fret on the A string, not playing the bottom E at all. So first finger on the 2nd fret of the A string, 3rd finger on the 4th fret of the D, pinky on the 4th fret of the G, 2nd finger on the 3rd fret of the B, and then we should hear the 2nd fret underneath our bar on that high E, and that's a B minor chord. Next chord, we're going to be playing a G major in open position, which I'm sure you're already familiar with, but just in case not, we're playing 3rd fret with our 2nd finger on the E, 2nd fret on the A with our with our 1st finger, and then everything else open apart from the top 2 strings, which we're going to play with our 3rd and pinky at the 3rd fret both. So moving on from our G major, we have a D major. So again, we're not going to be playing the bottom E, but we're also going to omit the A string and play the open D string. Then 1st finger on the 2nd fret of the G, 3rd finger on the 3rd fret of the B, and 2nd finger on the 2nd fret of the high E. And finally we drop down to an A major chord. So now we're not playing the bottom E, but we're going to allow the open A string to ring out. 2nd finger on the 2nd fret of the D, 1st finger on the 2nd fret of the G, 3rd finger on the 2nd fret of the B, and the high E is once again open. So putting all 4 of those chord shapes together, firstly is the power chords, should sound something like this. And again, but played as the more full chord shapes, should sound something like this. Okay, so now let's take a look at what the right hand is doing in order to deliver that chord progression. So once you've got to grips with either the power chord or full chord shapes in the left hand, let's take a look at how our right hand is going to play that with our strumming pattern. So pretty simple, but we've got a couple of options here as well. Pretty much throughout the verses and the pre-choruses, Ed Sheeran is playing this rhythm, which is the same on every chord. We're basically playing 2 bars on every chord. So 2 bars of B minor, followed by 2 bars of G, 2 bars of D, and 2 bars of A. That's the same whether you're playing the power chord or full chord versions. And the pattern goes something like this. So we have a series of 2 notes followed by a rest, which you can kind of mute your strings in or simply just let that ring out. We're then going to play 3 notes together and another rest, and then we're actually playing just 1 note by itself, but at this point our strumming pattern is going to repeat. So that 1 note at the end joins back up with the 2 notes at the beginning to make another group of 3. So it should sound something like this played through the 2 bars. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1. And again, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1. So hopefully by looking at it in that way you can see where that repetition happens and where we loop back to the beginning of our bar. Now if we wanted to count that in more musical terms, we would count it like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and again 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So when we're staying on 1 chord for 2 bars, as I said before, that and of our first bar will join up with the 1 and at the start of the next bar. So we'll have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And that feels pretty comfortable. So the only time we might find that a little bit tricky is when we come to change chord. And the reason for that is we are playing on the and of 4 at the end of a particular bar and then having to change to our next chord in time to hit the 1 for that bar. So that would sound something like this. Let's say we're going from our B to our G as power chords. We'll have 2 bars of B and then change down to the G. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So I'd encourage you to go a little bit slowly to begin with until you're comfortable making those changes and jumping quite quickly to the different positions around the neck. So if we play through that entire progression, so B to G to D to A, 2 bars of each with the strumming pattern repeating every 2 bars, it should sound something like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so let's take a look at what we might do a little bit differently in our chorus. Now on the original track for the choruses, Ed Sheeran is simply accenting the 1 and the and of 1 for every bar. Again, it's exactly the same chord progression, we're simply playing the first 1 and of every bar. So it should sound something like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 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 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Also on the bridge he does something similar, just simply he's going to omit playing anything in the second bar of each chord. So in the first half of the bridge we get something like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 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 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Now, if you want to kind of make things a little bit more interesting, if you're playing a solo acoustic version, like I've said before, we could simply take the same strumming pattern that we're using in our verse and pre-chorus, but try and make it a little bit more open and kind of free sounding by introducing up strums. So now every downbeat, or every on beat, so your 1, 2, 3, 4, whenever we're playing one of those, we're going to be playing that as a downward strum. And our ands are now going to become an upward strum. But it's exactly the same rhythm, so where we originally had 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, we're now going to have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. In other words, down, up, down, up, up. And once again, that final up is going to join back up with our first down, up, when we repeat that strumming pattern. So if we look at how that might sound and look over the entire progression, it might sound something like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2, 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 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 3 and 4 and. Once again, if you want that to sound even thicker, we could introduce that same strumming pattern but use our open chords as I've shown you previously. That would sound something like this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, down, up, 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 down, up. So play around with those various different approaches and see what you prefer and what suits your playing style best. Okay, so let's take a look at how that all fits together with a full playthrough of the track. I took an arrow to the heart. I never kissed a mouth that tastes like yours. Strawberries and something more. Ooh yeah, I want it all. Lipstick on my guitar. Fill up the engine, we can drive real far. Go dancing underneath the stars. Ooh yeah, I want it all. Yeah, you got me feeling like wanna be that guy. Wanna kiss your eyes. Wanna drink that smile. Wanna feel like my soul on fire. Wanna stay up all day and all night. Yeah, you got me singing like, ooh, I love you when you do it like that. And when you're closer, give me the shivers. Oh baby, you wanna dance till the sunlight cracks. And when they say the party's over, I will bring it right back. They say, ooh, I love it when you do it like that. And when you're closer, give me the shivers. Oh baby, you wanna dance till the sunlight cracks. When they say the party's over, let me bring it right back into the car. In the backseat in the moonlit dark. Wrap me up between your legs and arms. Oh, I can't get enough. You know you could tear me apart. Put me back together, take my heart. I never thought that I could love this hard. Oh, I can't get enough. Yeah, you got me feeling like wanna be that guy. Wanna kiss your eyes. Wanna drink that smile. Wanna feel like I'm a soul on fire. Wanna stay up all day and all night. Yeah, you got me singing like, ooh, I love it when you do it like that. And when you're closer, give me the shivers. Oh baby, you wanna dance got this thing that started, I don't want it to stop. You know you made me shiver, shiver, baby. You burn so hot, you make me shiver with the fire. You got this thing that started, I don't want it to stop. You know you made me shiver. Yeah, you got me singing like, ooh, I love it when you do it like that. When you're closer, give me the shivers. Oh baby, you wanna dance till the sunlight cracks. And they say nobody's over every breath. They say, ooh, I love it when you do it like that. When you're closer, give me the shivers. Oh baby, you wanna dance till the sunlight cracks. When they say nobody's over every breath. Thank you for watching. That's the end of this video. If you'd like to see more, please subscribe to the channel and give this video a like if you enjoyed it or found any of it useful. You might also like to check out some of these videos and let me know in the comments section below what you'd like to learn next. Until then, I'll see you there.